Here's Prescott, just throws it deep as far as his arm can take him. He caught it!
Micah Parsons on the move. Micah Parsons is in! Welcome to the big show, Tony Pollard.
Oh, going deep, it is intercepted.
But I'm not going to say a word, but I will say one thing right now.
Prescott, touchdown. Good protection, and the pass wide open. Touchdown, Lamb.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Space Cowboy here. Welcome back to the channel with another video for you guys here today, and we have finally made it to the beginning of the 2023 Dallas Cowboys season. We're going to be taking on the New York Giants in MetLife. It is going to be electric to say the least because football will be back, and it's going to be against a division rival which has a very solid roster put together. There were some injuries that have come up for both sides. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what both teams might want to try and do. And on top of that, we'll get some predictions in. So before we get started, if you can please hit the like button to show support for the channel and also fight against the YouTube algorithm, that'd be great. If you're new around here, by all means subscribe. Over 90% of you guys watching are not, so please stick around for this football season. I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about now that football is finally back. And of course, there will be wins, there will be losses, and a lot of complaining. Not saying from me, but it's going to be a part of the journey. So let's talk about it. We understand that this is a huge game for both teams. You know, you look at the Dallas Cowboys, you look at the New York Giants. Both teams want to try and get that first win to set the tone. Because when you look at each of the schedules that the Cowboys and Giants have for their first 8 games that they play, I would say that this week 1 game is more important to the Giants than it is the Cowboys. Now, I'm not trying to say that to let the Cowboys off the hook if they lose. I'm going to circle back to them in just a moment. But looking at the Giants' schedule, okay, so you play the Cowboys in week 1. If you lose that game, then you go on the road to Arizona. You should be able to beat Arizona. Then you take on the 49ers. That's going to be a tough game on the road. Then you play the Seahawks at home. You should be able to beat the Seahawks, but they're not going to be easy. Miami on the road, that's going to be tough. Buffalo on the road, that's definitely going to be tough. Then you look at Washington, then you look at the Jets. That's not super terrible for the Giants because they're not a terrible team, but it's a tougher gauntlet of teams compared to the Cowboys. Now, looking at the Cowboys, you look at the Giants, let's say they lose that game. Okay, you play against the Jets. That's going to be a tough game too, but it's winnable, especially at home. Then you go on the road to the Cardinals. You should be able to beat the Cardinals, the Patriots, the 49ers, the Chargers, and then the Rams, and then their 8th game would be against the Eagles. Now, that's not necessarily a gimme lineup, but there are more winnable games there for the Cowboys than there are for the Giants, if that makes any sense. And again, that's just on paper. We have yet to see how these teams will perform, but you look at what's going on. You're hearing how Darren Waller is hurt. You're hearing how, I believe it's Wan'Dale Robinson was also put on the injury report. And you look at how these things are going, and they should be able to play. Again, like a lot of these injuries we'll find out soon enough, especially for the Cowboys. You know, Tyler Smith, he's most likely not going to play, but Tyron should play. So you're probably going to see TJ Bass out there or Asim Richards. And then you also have to factor in that, you know, I think that the Cowboys having a new play caller is going to be interesting. And, you know, again, the Giants have a really good front 7 as well. I mean, I was going to say front 4 as well. But, you know, that's where I think the game is going to be won, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but just to end on that whole thing about who needs this game more, it's definitely the Giants. But to not let the Cowboys off the hook, I think that if they truly want to take the next step, they need to win week 1. They need to start off on the right foot. Okay, you're going to go out, beat the Giants on the road, Sunday Night Football, make your statement. Doesn't necessarily have to be the flashiest thing, but you win. You go at home, you beat the Jets. You go to the Cardinals, you beat them. Like, that's what you need to do. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't know, but my main thing is that that's what's important for the Cowboys. The Cowboys have a higher expectation level than the Giants this year. So for the Cowboys, it's not going to be easy. It's a division rivalry game, but we can't overreact whether it's a win or a loss. If the Cowboys win, we shouldn't be overly jubilant. I'm not saying we can't be excited that we win, but we still have 16 more games to go, and same thing for the Giants. So let's talk about, from the Cowboys' perspective of things, how can they win this game? From the offensive side of the ball, what can they do to beat this Giants team? I think that based on what we saw in the preseason versus the Raiders, I think you have the formula. You need to negate what that front seven can do. Quick passes, being able to do dump-offs, being able to get the ball out quickly. And on top of that, the offensive line holding up. I don't care who is out there, get the job done. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. When you look at who the Giants have on that defensive line, I mean, good golly gosh, it's going to be tough, that I will say the least. I mean, looking at the names that you have on this, Dexter Lawrence, you have Leonard Williams, you then have to factor in Kevon Thibodeau as well. You also have to factor in Azeez Ojulari, a very good set of pass rushers there. That's a tough order for the Cowboys offensive line to handle in the first week, especially with injuries. But when you look at what the Cowboys can do to attack this Giants defense, I think another key point is attacking the corners and the safeties. I understand they just got Isaiah Simmons. That's cool and all, but still, you have a lot of young guys back there. Another thing, too, is attacking the linebackers. I think that that's another weak point there. And I know that this Giants defensive line is going to do a bunch of the heavy lifting, but for them to really beat the Cowboys, they need their young players to step up. They need to get to Dak Prescott. They need to get past this offensive line of the Cowboys and really do their part there. That's where I think the Giants can win the game defensively and where the Cowboys can win the game offensively. Role reversed, I think for the Cowboys defensively, it's really not super simple, but you put Daniel Jones in third and longs. He has not been well when it comes to third and longs, and I think that for him to really take the Giants to the next level, he needs to be able to beat the Cowboys in third and long situations. Not just the Cowboys, really any team. And, prevent mistakes and play clean football. I think for what the Cowboys can do, it's really simple. Attack that right side of the offensive line and Evan Neal. I think that for now, that's really your weak point, is on that right side of the offensive line. I hope Micah's over there. And then on top of that, just keep getting to him, putting him in these third and longs, and don't let him beat you with his legs. He's going to try and do that. I think that if the Giants want to beat the Cowboys, on the offensive side of the ball for them, you use Daniel Jones' mobility. Keep him in third and short or in short down distances, using Saquon Barkley enough to be effective. However, where I'm a bit worried about is with, Darren Waller. How's he going to be with the hamstring injury? Outside of him, there really isn't a whole lot. I mean, I'm looking at this list. Paris Campbell, Isaiah Hodgins, Jalen Hyatt, who is a notable name, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, and Wan'Dale Robinson. I mean, that's not a whole lot there. I'm not saying it's nothing, but still, it's like you're betting on these guys to get it together. And so I don't think the first game could per se be super, super, super tough. I think it's going to be competitive, but I wouldn't be shocked if in the second game, the Giants give the Cowboys a run for their money on a serious level. I'm not saying they didn't do that last year, but there's a lot of moving parts there. And, of course, you have the rookie John Michael Schmitz that you're going to have to go after, too. So there's that. I think for the Cowboys on the defensive side of the ball, you want to force Daniel Jones to make mistakes, get him off the field in third and long situations, and at the end of the day, just keep coming at him. I don't really have much more to say there. The Giants, if we're talking about them, what they can do offensively, really simple. Just, put Daniel Jones in short down and distances, and on top of that, just be able to run the ball effectively and, make sure your pass catchers can step up. And I think that's really the big thing here, is that when you look at the Giants, they have a lot of moving parts that are young and coming together. And I did say it in my predictions video. I think that the Giants are moving in the right direction. I think that this year is going to be very telling to see where they're at. And it's going to be interesting to see what Brian Daboll does with Daniel Jones in year 2 of him being the Giants head coach. So, with that being said, I know I've said a lot here, and looking at both sides, Who am I taking to win the game and any bold predictions? Well, based off of what history has shown, the Dallas Cowboys have not won a Week 1 game with Mike McCarthy as the head coach, and they've all, funnily enough, been on Sunday Night Football. The other thing, too, the Dallas Cowboys have Dak Prescott, in which the Giants have had some issues with. Granted, they've been close games, and I don't think that streak they keep talking about is going to go on forever. But I will say this, I think that this is not going to be a gimme game for the Cowboys if they win this game. And also it's supposed to rain with like Hurricane Lee or whatever the hell and some other stuff. I think that if we're talking about that, that's another huge component. I do believe that it's going to be a very defensive game compared to what people may think. I will say this, for the Giants, it's in their best interest to keep the Cowboys under 20 points or 24 points, because if the Cowboys get on the right foot offensively and they start scoring quick, early, and often, the Giants, I believe, don't have the firepower to match the Cowboys. So I think for the Cowboys, score as quick and easy and as, early, whatever the hell you want to use, as possible. For the Giants, contain that. And let's just go through it. So in terms of bold predictions and eventually the game prediction, I think for my bold predictions, I think that Dak Prescott has a good game all around. I think he has a stat line like, I don't know, like maybe 260-ish, throwing the ball maybe 30-ish times, having around 2 touchdowns and maybe an interception. A lot of people are going to be annoyed at the interception, which is going to be fucking annoying, but he does the job that he needs to do, and I think the interception is just, oops, but there's that. Then you talk about Micah Parsons. I think Micah Parsons gets 2+ sacks in this game, and I think that Stephon Gilmore gets an interception. As for who wins this game, I have the Cowboys beating the Giants by a final score of 20-16. I think that it's going to be very, very tense. I think the Giants will lead like 16-13 late into the fourth, and then Dak Prescott leads the Cowboys on a game-winning drive to win in Week 1. That's how I think things are going to go. I'm not going to be overly jubilant or overly pissed off if they win or lose, though my reactions might be different. But it is what it is. We have 17 games to punch our ticket to the postseason and just see how things go from there. And I'm really excited football's back. Good luck to you Giants fans if you're watching this video. And Cowboys fans, let's get things going. So I will catch you guys after the game. And with that, have a good one. Goodbye.